Hello, my YouTube beauties. I hope everyone is well. It's cloudy skies in New York City on Saturday. Today is June 3rd, 2023. You know how I do. I see something about a topic or a movie, and then I choose to discuss. I seen something on Instagram, and a guy was saying it, and he was speaking truth, but I wanted to address women as far as what we allow is what's going to happen. So basically, the guy on Instagram was like, mothers have to take off work, we have to do all these things for the kids, and the fathers don't really step up and do it. But to be perfectly honest with you, a man does what you allow. I'm going to say that again. A man is going to do what you allow. The same way how some women say, oh, my man don't do this or that, relationship wise. Like me and my friend was just talking yesterday, and she was saying how she went to go see some guy in the Bronx and would take train. Mind you, he drives. She would take trains to go see him, and I'm like, that's not right. Like, he should have came and picked you up, or at least picked you up from a train station or something. But, and also my cousin, she went through the same thing. She was messing around with a guy who lived in the Bronx, and he had a car and wouldn't give her a ride. That's because they allowed it. For me, I'm 34, and if so, whoever lived far, whatever, they have a car, they coming to see me or they coming to pick me up. There's no way that I would ever allow that. You get what I'm saying? It doesn't say I'm a better woman than they are. But certain things that a lot of females tell me, they like, oh, well, for example, they be like, well, I don't like smokers. I'm like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with smoking. But again, I don't allow smoking. So if a guy tells me, oh, I like to smoke weed and cigarettes, I'm happy for you. But however, the day that you come to see me, you cannot smell like that. I have rules. Just like men have rules, and they want a certain type of woman, and you can't gain weight, and a whole bunch of list of stupid rules that they have. I have my rules too. So I feel like men do what you allow. So if you're a woman who lives with a man, whether he be your boyfriend, husband, and he's not helping you, that's your fault. Because you should put your foot down and say, you should do this or whatever. It's really that simple. Or like, just in general, even with men, I can admit that even with my child's father, he gets away with a lot because I allow it just to keep the peace. We're not together, so I allow a lot of things because his mom helps me out. But to be perfectly honest with you, if I didn't get help from his mother or his other family members, he would be on child support. So, at the end of the day, you're not about to beg me to have your seed, your child, and then not help me. Like, that's not going down. That's, and one of my coworkers a while back, she's like, when you have a baby, you need to be ready to have the baby and not the guy. What I forgot to mention is us as women, and I speak for myself, especially when I say this, we know what type of man we're dealing with. You can't convince me that when you're pregnant, you don't know what type of man this is. You know if he's going to stick around. You know if he's going to help out in the house. You know. The only way you don't know is if y'all had sex the same night y'all met. So obviously you don't know him at all. But if you've been around the dude for at least a few weeks, months, or years, in most cases, you know exactly what you're getting yourself into. So I don't feel sorry for women who do all the cooking, do all the cleaning. Like my mother, perfect example. She dated my father. They met when they were 17 and got serious like in their 20s. Obviously, my mother didn't take him serious when they were that young. But they started getting serious like 5 years after they met. They dated other people in between. And so the 5-year mark, that's when they started to get serious or whatever, right? My mom admitted, because she was telling me, mind you, I'm 10 years old, but I'm very wise. My mom going to say, oh, your father this, your father that. I said, so mom, when you was dating my father, you didn't know he was a messy person? Come on now. You didn't know that he was lazy when it came to household chores? Like, you can't convince me of that, even at 10. She's like, yeah, you right. When I used to go over in his room, right? She used to go to his house and his room was always messy. Okay, so that tells you right there that if you marry somebody like this, he's gonna be the same way. Men don't change. I don't care what nobody says. Whatever habits they have, especially in their early adult life, people do change from teenage to adult age. People do. But when it comes to his 20s versus his 30s, he's going to be the same nigga. You go into his house and it's messy, right? And his room, well, my father, he lived at home. She lived at home too. But she said when she would go in his room, it was very messy. I said, okay, so you knew what you were getting into. You knew that he was not a clean person. You knew he did not wash dishes. You knew that he was pretty much the baby boy of the family. My father had a little brother, but he had 2 older brothers. So my father is like the middle person. But my father was the oldest little brother, if that makes sense. So my father was the little brother, and then he had a little brother. So my father didn't do any chores. His older brothers did, and then like my uncle did the cooking, and they all took turns in cleaning. Like my father said, he used to his chore was he was supposed to clean the bathroom. And the other brothers, they took turns with sweeping and stuff like that, because my grandmother didn't cook or clean. So that's another thing. Contrary to popular belief of, oh, grandmothers back in the days, they cook and clean. No, both my grandmothers on both sides, they did not cook and clean. The kids did everything. Also, I learned that my grandmother, my father's mom, I learned from my first cousin that she used to drink. So that explains her behaviors. Like my father said she used to fight. My father said how when he was 5, he was walking himself to school. His brothers, they was whatever they was doing, but my father had to walk himself to school at 5. That's clearly someone that's not in that, as a mother, she wasn't in her rightful mind. But also, back in the day, baby boomers were very independent. Back in the days, you had 5-year-olds playing in the street by themselves with no adult supervision. That was normal back then, right? So, yeah. So, like my grandmother's a perfect example of, she did not cook or clean. She wasn't doing that. She had her boys do it, right? Even now my grandmother, as I was told, was a housewife. Well, she was a stay-at-home person until my father was 14 years old. That's when she went back to work. But even when she was home, my father said she didn't do nothing. She used to go get her hair done, look pretty, and drink. My father never told me that she drank. I learned this from a cousin. So she did not allow that. She was not that barefoot and pregnant person. She was pregnant, but she wasn't doing nothing. She got her boys to do it, right? So, when he said that on Instagram, it's based upon, and then somebody commented like, there are fathers that step up and whatever. Yeah, because they girl or their wife is not going to tolerate that, So if you have a man that don't cook and clean, and you're cleaning up after him and cooking and stuff, that's on you. That's something that you allow. Like my parents got married in 1984. I was born in 1989. My mother's been cooking for my father since 1984. My father doesn't know how to cook his own dinner and doesn't want to learn. He's had his brother cook for him, and then when he moved out the house, my mom been taking care of him ever since. Now my father pays bills. My mom pays no bills, guys. My mom Same thing. So my mom, I could truly say, was always ambitious. Like, I remember she didn't start working until I started 8th grade when I was 13, and then I turned 14. She always was trying to look for work, but she just wasn't lucky. But she used to babysit. She used to volunteer. I remember when she volunteered at a library and me and my father came to visit her, like in the summertime. This is when I was little. And she volunteered in a nursing home across the street from us for 2 years. She volunteered she always was trying. Like, my mom wasn't a housewife because she wanted to. When my parents got married, she got laid off. Like, in the 80s, it was very hard to find work. My father was always blessed with a job. My father started working for the police department in 84 when they got married. My mom got laid off of her job. So it worked out. And so she always tried to get a job. Like, she always was trying. She always was job hunting. My father would give her tokens to go, look for a job. And she just wasn't lucky. She wasn't home because she wanted to be. She couldn't find anything. And then on top of that, I was a little kid and she had to pick me up from school. So even if she did find a job, who was going to pick me up from school? My parents, they didn't really believe in babysitters, and I don't blame them. My son has never had a babysitter outside of family and friends. So, but and my parents, it was just them. Like, nobody watched me except for my mother and my father. So I said that to say this, like, things that family dynamics and male and female roles is all dependent on you, ladies. You have more power in your household than you think. That's what I wanted to say. My son, he knows how to cook. He knows how to make spaghetti. He knows how to make pancakes. On his own, he took the initiative. And of course, his father doesn't really agree with that because his father don't do nothing for himself. His mom still does his laundry. My son started doing his laundry at 10. And I tell my son all the time, if you want a woman that's, attractive and she's independent and she's worldly and she's whatever, she's not going to clean up after you. Women who do that often don't have options. I'm just saying. If you got options, you're not going to do that for a nigga. You're just not, because it's like, look how many men out here cook and clean. Why would I be doing that after a man when I get dudes who cook and clean? You know what I'm saying? Like, I cook and clean after. To be brutally honest, I cook to survive. I really do. I don't like cooking, but of course I'm going to cook over getting takeout every day, because getting takeout every day, number one, could get you sick. Number two, half the food is old, and it's just better to cook yourself, because these people are not using gloves, they dirty. So you will never see me getting takeout every day. I'd rather eat frozen food every day versus takeout. At least I'm putting it in the oven and I can see what's going on. But yeah, guys, men do what you allow them to do. Don't forget that. So if you're in a household and you're doing everything, it's never too late to say, hey, y'all need to chip in. And stop teaching your sons, oh, that's for girls. Listen, cooking and cleaning is adult responsibility. That has nothing to do with gender roles. I don't know why people feel that way. Like, I remember, like, an incident happened, and I remember my father was like, oh, that's wifely duties. What does doing laundry have to do with being a wife? That has nothing to do with being a wife. If you don't treat your wife right, this is how I see it. So for me to do a man's laundry, it gotta be like he working 2 jobs, he's in school, and then yes, I'll do your laundry because, like, I'm done with school. For instance, I get off of work very early, right? I get off of work at like 150. And I'm done with school. I get off of work very early and I'm off on weekends. So if I have a man who has 2 jobs and he's busy and stuff like that, yes, I'm gonna, and he asked me, yes, I'll do it. You know, like when my ex, he did my laundry once when I was really sick. He offered and he did it. You know, so stuff like that. But just on a regular, I'm just doing your laundry because that's my duty as a woman. Hell no. Like, if we have a baby, you're going to be waking up in the middle of the night to help out. You're going to be taking that child to daycare. If I got to be at work at 7, but you don't have to be at work till 9, obviously you need to be the one to take the child to daycare, right or wrong. If I get out of work super early, I can pick up the child from daycare. If you get out of work late, obviously then I'll do it. And that's how it should go, whoever's available. Not just falls on the mother because she's a woman, right? So all my ladies out there, some people might say, oh, but you know, it's easier said than done. No, if you got boys, train them to help out in the house. It starts with us. You know, Beyonce said it. It's not just a song, but it's really true. Who runs this mother? Who runs the world? We running this. The world system is the way it is because of women, because of what we allow. We are more powerful than what we think. It's true. And those are my thoughts.